We have, it's RMF1, we're going to RO, okay, and then we have two special exceptions after that. Could you just explain the central logic to this whole thing?
Ultimately,
why is it going that way? Why is it not going to something other than RO?
RO is the least intrusive
okay.
of the zoning classifications that allow a cell tower over 60 feet tall.
Okay.
RMF1 allows a 60-foot stealth tower, which does not meet their needs. That's why they came forward with the rezoning to have a 150-foot monopole.
Okay, let me ask another question then. If there was not a cell tower involved in this overall question, what would be the planning department's, what would the planning department have suggested to these people or to the owner relative to rezoning?
Well, the Shrine Club wouldn't have come to us. This is all based on the cell tower.
Okay.
You said that the cell tower be 150 feet?
I think that's what it says.
Does it have to be lighted?
It's under 200 feet.
Yeah, and it's in a hole too, so I don't know if the FAA would.
That's the only question I have is whether the FAA, because it's fairly
FAA does have to review it, but based on where it's located, I would not think it would have a light on it at 150 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Branham.
All right, so the other technical question, when I'm looking through the chart of permitted uses, special exception uses, things like that, wireless telecom doesn't have an SE in that grid. So is it wireless telecom approved somewhere else?
It's in the last section of Chapter 3 under additional standards.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions for these ladies? All right, thank you.
Thank you. We do have things about the cell tower, but
we'll wait till we get to that. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this rezoning request? And if so, please come forward. Sure, Mr. Portishead.
I just, and I can understand the concern, and I don't want to be presumptuous, but the fact is the Shrine Club is there. The fact is that they have banquets. The fact is that they have parties. We also have in this city a noise ordinance. I can guarantee you we've had that since I was on the city council. And I think the approach that the city has taken in rezoning is to protect the people. Now, I had two grandchildren that graduated from Clubview and Richards. I had a granddaughter that graduated from Hardaway that's up the street. Columbus State is up the street. Nothing is going to be changed. And should the Shrine Club go through with their sales, and there's been some contention whether they're going to, would make no difference, because the people that will be relocating there, as was pointed out, will be no different than what the Shrine Club is already, and you're not going to have any bars or anything like that. And secondly, in concern of the next issue, the special exception, the tower will have absolutely no impact whatsoever on who's going to be there if the shrine ever leaves. Nothing whatsoever. And it will not, under any circumstances, impact traffic. It will not impact public safety. It will not impact noise. And nothing will really change. It's just there. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other conversation, discussion, questions before we ask for a motion? Do I hear a motion? Mr. Branham.
Can I borrow some of these?
Sure.
Thank you. Oh, can I borrow your staff report? Yeah, so I can get the right zoning.
Sorry.
It's hard to read on my iPad. In the case of REZN-01-18-0024, location 3202 Edgewood Road, current zoning classification RMF1, proposed classification RO with the proposed use or continued use of a Shrine Club, club or lodge banquet facility. Although it's inconsistent with the general land use, it is bringing it into compliance, and with the consideration that the added restriction of it only being used, I need help, Mr. Johnson. What are the specific conditions? Can you give those?
Club or lodge, banquet facility, wireless communication facility.
With those conditions noted, I move we approve this specific piece.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. King. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. And all those opposed? Okay, so we have 5 approved, 2 opposed. So we will submit this as a recommendation for approval. Thank you. That brings us to our last case, which is actually a special exception. This is EXCP-01-18-0025, and this is a request to rezone 3.160 acres of land located at 3202 Edgewood Road. The current zoning is RMF1, Residential Multifamily 1. The proposed zoning is RO, Residential Office. The proposed use is Shrine Club and Cell Tower Facility. A cell tower facility requires a special exception. Robert S. Portisheff is the applicant, and the property is located in Council District 5, Baker. Mr. Portisheff, if you want to come forward.
Thank you. Well, there's nothing else to say except
Yeah.
one thing that you raised, sir, as Colonel Throckmorton pointed out. The application is already on file with the FAA. We always do that, and should they have any questions about it, we will always comply with FAA restrictions. That's been true in every cell tower that's been put up in Columbus and at Fort Benning.
Thank you.
My question still remains, do we know, does it have to have a light or not?
Typically, towers under 200 feet are not lit. In the event that the FAA comes back for some reason and says that it has to be lit at 150 feet, we would lower the tower until they tell us that it doesn't have to be lit. So as an example, we did one in Kennesaw. Originally, it was approved in zoning, filed it with the FAA at 130 feet. They came back and said, no, you have to light it at 130 feet or you can build it at 110 feet. And we built it at 110 feet because we were close to residential and that kind of thing and didn't want to impact the area.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Mr. Dudley.
You talked about the Mohina Woods Tower and about gaps in coverage.
Yeah, my daughter lived there.
Now, the Mohina Woods Tower is what, a mile or two away from this site?
A mile.
Are there, wouldn't that cover all of the existing gaps in coverage, or?
No, there's, it really depends on the terrain and the population density. For example, we're building 13 towers in North Dakota, and we can cover, now we build those at 400 feet, and because of the flatness of the terrain and the lack of tree cover, we can cover out to 2 or 3 miles with a tower like that. In this case, because of the population density, the traffic, the topography, the tree cover, the traffic on 185, a mile is about what we see in Atlanta, Cobb County, Muskogee County, and Columbus.
So are there dead spots now that are not being covered, or?
I'm sorry?
Are there dead spots now that are not being covered, or
there
is it?
Will be pockets. There are probably hundreds of gaps in the state of Georgia that are a mile from a cell tower or a mile and a half from a cell tower. We've got a graphic that T-Mobile provided that can show you what this gap looks like and then what it will look like projected after the tower is built. I could put it on that projector.
Yeah, if we can get some assistance and put that on the projector for
Thank you.
Everyone to be able to take a look at, that would be helpful.
So this is the current gap. This is
Oh, wait, we got to get you mic'd. Hang on a second. I think there's a handheld.
John.
I think
Right
there's
here.
a handheld behind
Behind the name tags.
right behind the name tag.
Other one.
There
Oh,
you
around
go.
it.
Oh, okay. There you go. I think it's on. Let's make sure.
So,
Nope.
am I on?
Nope. Hang
I
on.
think, is this mic on?
Well, yeah, but it's, hang on a second. It'll be easier.
Yeah.
All right, we got it.
So just to kind of orient everybody, this is the current coverage. This is where the tower would be built. This is 185 running down through here. These other red dots are the current T-Mobile towers in the area. This one is up by the mall, and the Mohina Woods Tower would be approximately in this location right here. So this, you kind of see the gap here where The dark green is the best coverage. You kind of see where you have a significant gap there between the two, which is notable, especially given all the traffic on 185. So for not just quality of life and quality of coverage, but emergency response, that kind of thing on 185 would be critical. And Edgewood Road is also kind of an east-west running connection too. So the second graphic kind of shows what the coverage is projected to be after this tower is built. And you see how that significantly improves, not just connecting 185, but also running east to west for all the residences and the commuters going east to west.
Now, those are T-Mobile towers, right?
That's correct, yes.
You talked about T-Mobile making this tower available for a price, I'm sure, to other carriers as well. Are there other towers that you could use that are not T-Mobile towers?
Unfortunately not, and that's what we look for initially, because it's just not honestly profitable for us to build a tower too close to another tower. So we always look, we call it co-location, so we look for a close tower to co-locate on. Unfortunately, the closest tower is a mile away. That's the one at University Avenue. Again, Columbus State, very dense, high demand users there with the millennial students and everything like that. So they're really drawing the capacity of that tower. Dense residential here at this projected site, that's going to draw a lot of capacity, but you can see how much it's going to improve coverage in the area.
I think that's helpful. Thank you. We'll get you back over here at the mic, I think, if anybody has any other questions. Mr. Kenner.
There was discussion, this is going to be a monopole tower. Is this going to be a pine tree, or is this just a single pole?
It's a single pole.
But not a pine tree like up on River Road?
Not a monopine.
That's correct,
okay.
Yes. Because they've requested 150 feet, our experience has been that sometimes, a stealth pine will really blend in at about 110, 120 feet maximum. When you build a stealth pine tree at 150 feet, it almost has more, draws more attention to it and looks
out of place.
Out of place, right?
Any other questions from the commissioners?
Madam Chair, just
Yes.
one thing that just, over the late 90s, with cell phones becoming very popular, we did see a proliferation of cell towers, which was a great concern. Over time, they got taller, they had more co-location opportunities, but then this came out.
Yes.
And data is driving the new requests for more cell towers, and they also do the co-location to offset the ground lease. They pay, Peter's paying Paul's, so to speak. This is going to continue with more cell towers as more people are using data.
Yeah.
Also, we're eventually going to see small cells get in here. We have an ordinance on hand. We haven't actually had anyone, to my knowledge, come and apply, but those are pretty much just a standalone pole that, for instance, if it was in this neighborhood, would cover 20 houses. So it's really starting to get down to a micro situation.
And I think just for clarification for the public, this is more than just cell phones. This is
most,
I mean,
yeah, cell phones are.
Data, we say cell tower, but it's really your streaming television and your computers and your smart houses and,
That's really what's driving it.
It is our life now. Any other questions or comments that need to be made? Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this request? Okay, in favor? Well, hang. First of all, you need to be mic'd, and you're going to need to come to the podium. But hang on, could you give me just a second? So I see no one who is wanting to come forward to speak in favor. Is there anyone who would like to speak against this request? And let me say this: I would, if you're going to come and speak against it, please state your name and address. And if we have one person speaking for the group, that's great, but if you're each coming in individually, please make sure when you come that you're telling us something we haven't already heard, rather than just repeating the same thing over and over again. So anyone who would like to come speak against this request, please raise your hand and come forward. Yes, ma'am, in the blue. And you know our drill. Name and address, please.
My name is Cindy Elliott, and I live at 2816 East Lindsay Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you. As far as the proposal for the cell tower, I know, well, I forgot your name. John. I know John said that it would enhance the coverage of the area, but as he clearly said, it would only be a mile around where the tower was. I don't know how that can actually help so much telecommunication, you know, unless you do have T-Mobile. You know, I have Verizon, so I don't know as far as that goes. In talking to neighbors about the proposal, we were concerned because, of course, the health risks, and they say the evidence is still out. I mean, there could be cancer-causing things happening. According to Alan Holmes from the Center of Public Safety, he said that there has not been a study since 1996, and so we don't know exactly what these RF waves, these are radio frequency waves, are doing to the public. Of course, it's obstructive looking there, you know, obviously. They could lower real estate values if, you know, not being so, you know, because the aesthetic value is not there. I mean, aesthetically it's ugly, they're ugly. Unless you have a tree, if they're planning to make it into a tree like at Green Island Hills, you know, those they tried to make a little more aesthetically nice. The architectural design of cell towers are not beneficial to aesthetics of residential areas, and that there are looming towers of metal and steel that do put out these radio frequency waves, which can affect people in the neighborhoods. It does not ensure that everyone's reception is good. That's a misnomer. If you live close to a cell tower, which I will be very close to that cell tower, you may even lose reception because there's a detrimental impact. These radio frequency waves come in to the tower, and when you get closer, it could interfere with your existing reception. And so I, you know, obviously am opposed to that, but my neighbors as well have concerns and they think it'll have a detrimental effect just having it there. And also the health risks of the, let's see, was there anything else here before I, okay, and they said an adjacent zoning district minimum buffer was 100 feet. Is that right?
Height of the tower. From the pole, it's the height of the tower.
That's the height of the tower?
From the nearest residential structure.
From the nearest.
So if it's 150 feet, it has to be 150 feet from the nearest residential structure.
So 150 feet. Okay. We'll check on that. Okay. And also, as far as, you know, the height of it, it's going to be how tall? They said 130?
Is it 130?
150?
150, I think.
150 is what the proposed.
Feet. Okay. Is this an RG?
The engineering standard?
Yes. G. Okay. I just was going to be clear on that. Like I say, that was what they were talking about on that web.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to hold questions because I want to get the rest of the comments up here, and then I'll have the commissioners just ask. So make notes, commissioners. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to come forward to speak against this request? Yes, ma'am. If you'll state your name and address for us.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Kelly, 3307 Glenbrook Drive. I only have two concerns, and when we first saw the letter that came out, a lot of things we're talking about with the property tax, not necessarily if the cell tower was aesthetically pleasing to the eye, but necessarily it being a commercial item and possibly taking away from people wanting to move into the area. We already have a lot of people leaving the area. There are a lot of houses being sold. And with the cell tower here, would that add property tax for people moving into the area? Me personally, it would not necessarily affect, but I know people in the area that it would affect if they were to move in or if their property tax were to go up, this cell tower being there. And also, and this is just a question that I was just curious about, the electricity. I know during the height of the season, during the Christmas season, the electricity bill goes up because so many people have the lights and things. Would this in any way affect that the same way with the cell tower being up?
Affect whose?
The electricity bill, the area.
Oh, no. No.
The wattage and everything like that. Okay, and I was just curious about that because I wasn't sure exactly how that worked. So
you are metered to yourself, so you are paying for the power that you and only you use. We don't have a cooperative metering system in our city like that. So you're
that happened in the last community I lived in. I was in North Carolina.
Good question, but no, ma'am, you would be fine.
All right. My only two questions.
Do you want to speak about the property tax thing? I mean, it's not the tax. It's not going to affect your taxes.
The new people who move into the neighborhood, buy a house, are not going to be burdened by the cell tower. They're going to be burdened by the property tax freeze. So that's where they're going to pay more money.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's my only two concerns.
Thank you for coming forward. Also, was there anyone else who wanted to speak against this? And if not, I'm going to ask the gentleman who just had a question if you would like to come forward and well, you can't. You got to be on mic because we're on live television.
I'm Cindy Elliott, 2816 East Lindsay Drive, and I had one other proposal. You know, they say to give an answer if you're going to give a negativity, so I'm going to say, why not have it on one of these empty lots over here where Kmart used to be? Why not put it there? I mean, I know he's saying that he wants to try to, you know, improve the radio frequency waves for that little area. But since it is, you know, residential area, and like I say, the zoning right now is multifamily residential, you know, it just is not in keeping with, I know it's a special exception that you'd have to do to make that possible, but, you know, why not find somewhere where there's a business nearby and do it in that parking lot instead of.
I think if you go back to, if you reference the map that he sent, and I may be wrong, but I do think it has to do with the physical location of that tower in terms of where those radio frequencies can go to. And sadly, the location you're referring to isn't within the coverage zone that they're trying to get to, is probably the answer. And if I'm wrong, correct me. I'm not wrong, am I? Okay.
That's right.
Okay. But good point.
I mean, trying to find a certain, you know.
And I appreciate you trying to find a solution. Oftentimes that's missed and with a lot of folks, so thank you.
Right, okay, yes.
Sir, would you, I know you said you had a question for the applicant. If you'll come forward, state your name and address. I need you over here on the mic. No, I need, you gotta wait till you're at the mic.
My name's Mike Taylor. I live at 2878 Cromwell Drive.
And sir, I'm gonna ask you to speak into the mic, not them. So address your question to us and.
Oh, okay. I mean, what are they gonna do with the land? Are they gonna tear down the Shrine Club and build apartments there later on? What's their intentions with the land? I mean, they want to build a cell tower, but you got 3 acres there. What else are they gonna do with that?
Well, this is, you want to, Will, you want to, Mr. Johnson, you want to jump in here and help him understand?
Yeah,
I'm going to get Mr. Johnson to address this.
We can't answer that question. That'll be up to the Shrine and the rezoning.
Right, we're going to let Mr. Johnson address this.
The recommendation that, on the rezoning that the Planning Commission approved restricts the use to what's already there, plus the cell tower, if it's approved. If a buyer comes in and buys that property, they have to go back through zoning to do anything else besides those 3 restrictions.
Okay.
So if they want to build apartments, they've got to come back here and get those restrictions lifted. Now, one thing to keep in mind, it's already zoned for apartments, as it is now.
That's right.
They could sell it tomorrow, and somebody, if this all failed, they could go in there, bulldoze it, and build apartments.
Okay.
And Shrine Club was built in '53. When the city and the county consolidated in 70, 71, it made it a non-conforming use. Shrine Club came in and got rezoned to make it conforming. And then the '84 zoning ordinance came along and made it non-conforming again. So the whole thing's been a mess over the last 40 years, 50 years. And now they're trying to get conforming again. But by placing this restriction on it, it's actually more of a protection for the neighborhood than leaving it as is.
Okay, thank you.
And I think that is a really good clarification, because one of the things we are hearing from the neighbors is the concern about, you know, apartment buildings, and I think it is worth reiterating, as the zoning is today, an apartment complex could go sit on that site, cell tower or no cell tower. You could have a, you know, with no further review. They don't even have to come to get a special exception. They would be able to do that. The other thing I wanted to say was, just to make sure we're clear with the gentleman who came forward, if we pass this and someone does buy this property, yes, they can tear down the Shrine Club as long as they rebuild a banquet facility. So I want to make sure we're clear on that. They can't change the use, but you said, you know, were they going to bulldoze the Shrine Club? A buyer could, quite frankly, do that, provided what they're rebuilding or what they're using that land for is in accordance with the banquet facility. So I want to make sure I didn't want you to get your feelings hurt if you saw the Shrine Club come down. So, okay.
And one more clarification. Yes. Current zoning is 14 and a half units per acre with multifamily. With the current zoning, it's at roughly 45 apartments. And if you've seen the new ones on Armour Avenue, that's probably about 45 apartments, just so you get an idea of what you'd be looking at under the current zoning.
Thank you so much for that additional information, Mr. Johnson. Commissioners, any other questions or discussion amongst yourselves? If not, do I hear a motion? Mr. King.
I'll make a motion. With regards to special exception, EXCP 01-180025, special exception use to allow for 150-foot telecommunications facility and banquet facility located at 3202 Edgewood Road, Columbus, Georgia, 31907. I make a motion that we accept this with the restrictions as it being a banquet facility and for the cell tower location.
And do I hear a second? Mr. Davis, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 in favor. All those opposed. So we have 4 in favor, 3 opposed. So we will submit this as an approved proposal going forward. Thank you very much for the discussion. That's all of our cases that we have today. I do not see any new business. Is there anything, Mr. Renfro, that we need to bring up, Mr. Johnson?
Folks, this is just a recommendation today.
Yes.
This still has to go to City Council to be approved.
2 times.
Probably in April. So we'll send out the letters again, the neighborhood website, and then, of course, Ms. Garrett, our neighborhood watch lady, will get the emails out as well.
Thank you. So we have no business, no new business. We have no old business, so we are adjourned. Thank you.
the city will fix these darn potholes. Someone needs to report this.
Has this ever happened to you and you didn't know who to call? It's simple. Dial 311 or 706-653-4000. Columbus 311 Citizen Service Center. Our goal is to provide complete, accurate, and timely information to citizens and employees regarding complaints, inquiries, and requests for information. Columbus 311 Citizen Service Center, your direct link to city service.
Hey, what up, you guys? It's your girl Vivica Fox, and you are watching CCG TV.
Welcome to CCG TV, the Keep Columbus Beautiful Earth Notes. I'm Gloria Weston Smart, the director for Keep Columbus Beautiful. And for those of you all who are tuning in for the very first time, our mission is to engage and educate individuals to be better stewards to our environment by enhancing beautification, eliminating litter and blight, and protecting our environment. We always bring to you some wonderful shows so that you can be a good steward to our environment. If you're not recycling, please call 311 and request your blue bin today. I have wonderful guests for you today, and I'm so excited because I have a young man here. His name is Ralph. He works with Public Works, and he actually has taken the role of one of the guys I work very closely with, and that was Al Lyons. And welcome to our show.
Hello, Ms. Smart. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for being here, taking time out of your schedule. I know there's a lot that you could be doing because all I've been doing is receiving calls. I've been just receiving quite a few calls, rather, about litter on our roadways and what can we do. And I know that that's part of your role. But tell us a little bit about you first, Raph, and then your responsibility as a public service worker and the community service people that you actually work with.
Okay. As you mentioned, I'm following up Mr. Al Lyons. He's retired now from community service. It's been a long time.
I used to worry him to death.
You haven't started bothering me so much. So. Well, my door's always open, you know. But yeah, so I've taken over from him, and I'm learning a lot about community service as well as just keeping it going. You know, it's a tedious job. There's a lot of trash out there, and it always needs to be picked up. It's sort of a thankless job a lot of times. We'll go out there and we'll pick up the litter, and it seems like in a couple of days or a week later, it's like we haven't been out there yet. I mean, just litter's just out of control these days.
It really is, and I'm just really not understanding why. But I do know that the key to it is our individual and collective responsibilities. You know, we all are individually responsible for making sure that we have a clean, green, and beautiful community. It starts with us. You know, litter comes about because of our behavior. And so it's going to be up to us to make that difference. And then we have to put that burden on someone else to go and clean up. But I look at my outdoors of my home as the entrance to my doorway.
Yes,
and if we can get more people to do that, then it could work. Now, prior to being a part of Public Works community service, what job did you hold before?
I was the supervisor in rainwater management. I oversaw the correction officers, as well as before that I was supervising the pipe crews and cave-in crews, and I've really been raised in Public Works. Before that I was a crew leader. And before that, an operator and an eductor operator, and it goes all the way back to just being basically a maintenance worker back 17 years ago.
And you said something very key. You said that you were the leader of the rainwater. And let me tell you, when it rains, that's when all of that trash on our roadways, in our front yards, in our backyards, makes its way through our storm system. And then Columbus Waterworks has to get it cleaned up so that we can have good drinking water.
Yes, ma'am.
But it's so important for us to be just good stewards, you know, about taking care of what gives us life, and that's our environment. We can't live without good air. We can't live without good food. We can't live without vegetation. And so it's important for us to just be good stewards to our environment. Tell me some of the challenges that you've had since you've been working with the public cleanup part of your job.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the challenges?
I think the biggest challenge we're having today, and Mr. Lyons, he would attest to this as well, one of the biggest challenges we're having today is the lack of workers. We use probationers as well as inmates to get our work done. We have crew leaders that oversee them, and we're a small department. I mean, excuse me, we're a small division. So we're not a large division, and we need them probationers to pick up the litter.
And so those are the people who actually are assigned by the judge to do community service.
Through several different court systems.
Through several different courts. And do you have any idea as to why you're getting a fewer number of them?
Well, I mean, I can go on hearsay. I can go by what I've been told so much, but I think a lot of it has to do with there's alternatives now for people to do community service in other ways. They can sign up online, and as well as they come up with excuses, so to speak.
Yeah, I know
the reason they can't be out there constantly picking up litter, walking, bending over constantly. And it's not really a hard job, but it does make for a long, tedious day when you're doing that for 8 hours.
Yes, and I can understand that, but the reason why they're out there is because they've broken the law, and then what they're trying to do is become back in good standings by doing that community service so that they can move on with their lives. And hopefully, when they are out on our roadways picking up trash, that'll encourage them not to litter because they're picking up somebody else's litter.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And it also keeps them from, to me personally, I think it's giving them insight to, their punishment,
That's right.
Because they're having to do that, they think twice about, doing something that would cause them to get community service again. Whereas when they're able to do some easier work or pay fines to pay their way out of it, a lot of times, to me personally, that's really not teaching them a lesson. Yeah,
I tell you what, I see more and more litter, I guess because it's something that I do with my work. So as I'm driving up and down the roadways, I'm constantly calling 311. There's litter over here on the highway. It looks like there's a lot of solid waste, big waste, or white goods that are on our roadways. I'm constantly calling.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we're encouraging to our viewers, we need for you all to be the eyes, the ears, and the mouth for our environment. Call when you see infractions. Call 311. It's so important. We need your help. There's only 2 people in the Keep Columbus Beautiful office. There's over 220 miles in our county, in the city of Columbus, I'm sorry. And so it's important for us to just make sure that everybody take on their individual responsibility and our collective responsibility to be good stewards. I want to thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate it. Sometimes you may not think it's meaningful, but it is, because we all want to be in a clean environment. And so part of that is your job, and we do appreciate you for doing that. And thank you so much for coming on this show.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I enjoy speaking with you about the issue, and I hope it does raise more awareness.
Okay, and so if there's anything that we can do as in a way of advocating for hopefully getting more people or getting the judge to make sure that they assign people to doing actual work instead of having them going on the computer doing something where you may not know if it's them or not doing, those detail or what they need to be doing for their community service. We need to just make a difference, and I'm hoping that we will be meeting with some of the judges soon so that we'll be able to let them know how important it is for us to have those people assigned to doing community
Yes, ma'am,
service.
and that would help tremendously. The more people we can put out there picking up litter, I mean, that just doubles and triples the amount that we're able to get. So it's always a good thing having them extra hands, and Saturdays as well. Saturdays, that's a big litter day for us. Where we have a lot of trucks that are able to go out, and we need to fill them trucks up to be able to take care of these routes and to because not only is litter, mainly it's an eyesore, but it's also hazardous. It gets to the point where it can add to disease or stuff like that. So I know everybody looks at it and they're like, oh well, this just looks bad, it's an eyesore. It looks nasty, but it's also an environmental issue.
It is, absolutely.
And that's our responsibility, is to take care of it. But it's also the citizens' responsibility to make sure they're not contributing to it.
Absolutely. And that's why we need you all, our viewing audience, to make sure that you tell everyone that you know. I know you all don't litter because you're tuning into our show, and you are a good environmental steward. So tell the people who you know, your children, your grandchildren, please don't litter. We're trying to educate them through our school system too. So just know that. And Raph, let me thank you again for coming on our show. We'll be looking forward to having you back because we're talking trash this year.
Yes,
with
ma'am.
Columbus Beautiful.
Well, thank you.
All right. So you all stay tuned. I'll be right back with another guest that you want to hear. He's from Habitat Humanities, and he's going to come in and talk about what they're doing. And then we got a wonderful program that he's going to offer to the community at large. So stay tuned. I volunteer.
Step up. I volunteer.
I volunteer.
We volunteer.
And I volunteer.
Hi, I'm Sally Goins, the volunteer coordinator here at Columbus Animal Care and Control, and we would love to have you come and help make a difference. If you're interested in volunteering, please call me at 706-225-4666 or email me at animalcontrol@columbusga.org.
Come on, let's go.
Hey. Hey, hi, what's your name? You live around here? You're pretty. Where are you guys going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going?
Guess it's about time to get you fixed, sweetie.
Your pets will start getting noticed sooner than you think. Accidental litters lead to millions killed in shelters each year. Help prevent more. Fix at month 4.
Welcome back to CCG TV, the Keep Columbus Beautiful Earth Notes. You know, I mentioned earlier I had a wonderful guest, and I'm so excited. Mark McCullum has been appointed to the Keep Columbus Beautiful Commission, and he's the director for Habitat for Humanities, and we've been working with them since I started with Keep Columbus Beautiful. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Glory. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. I know there's a lot that you could be doing, trying to identify other areas where you all can build habitat homes or get volunteers, but you took time out of your schedule to come here, and we do appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's important.
It is. And really, too, that's a part of our mission, too, is to enhance beautification and to protect our environment. And you building those habitat homes, you all are really enhancing the areas that you're going into building those homes.
Well, thank you. That's what we try to do.
That's what you do.
As much of our mission as anything.
I know. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself, Mark, and then we're going to talk about what you do, and then we'll talk about what our Keep Columbus Beautiful Commission is doing. Okay.
Well, I'm a lifelong resident of Columbus. I lived here and been active in several nonprofit activities over the years.
Right.
Now working closely with Habitat for Humanity.
Okay.
We've been in Columbus since 1984, so for 34 plus years now, we have been building homes and hopefully enhancing neighborhoods and communities in our area. So.
Wonderful. Our sorority, Delta Sigma Theta sorority, have built several homes, habitat homes, and mostly over there off of 30th Avenue.
That's right.
Yeah, when they first really had the big buildings of those homes. They built, I think, more than 30 homes in that area then, you know, but we've been working with you all too, and we would do some cleanup activities. And actually, what we would try to do with Keep Columbus Beautiful was to make sure that the residents of the homes had recycling containers, and then we would give them some trash bags to make sure that they would keep, you know, their areas clean outside. So that was what we did in the past, and we love to be able to do that again. Is to make sure that as soon as those residents are ready to go in and occupy those homes, that we can get them their blue bins out so that they can recycle.
The only way Habitat thrives is because of volunteers like yourself and other groups, volunteer groups that come out, give of their time and their energy to create a new house, affordable house for Habitat and for some fortunate homeowner that again is able to move in and become a homeowner and take on that new lifestyle for them. So.
Wonderful. And now, since you've been appointed by councilors to the Keep Columbus Beautiful Commission, you've just thought of ways that you can work for both Keep Columbus Beautiful as well as Habitat for Humanities.
Absolutely.
So there's one project that you've come up with, and I'm so excited about it because I get telephone calls all year round about this. So tell us what that project is.
Well, as I mentioned, we're Habitat for Humanity. We have what I call a retail component, which is Restore. And that's where we sell what we refer to as gently used items, whether that be furniture or appliances, construction materials, anything that someone wants to donate other than clothing and food items, of course, come to our store. We take them and we resell them to anyone that wants to come in our store. Doesn't matter whether you're in the construction business, homeowner, just anyone who wants to come in and can buy from our store.
From your store.
And those funds go back into construction of new houses.
Okay.
So that's a fundraiser for us.
So where is the store?
It's located at 3520 River Road.
Okay.
Basically at the intersection of Veterans and River Road.
So at one time, were you all off of Martin Luther King?
Yes, that was our office there.
Okay, wonderful, all right.
And so our administrative offices and Restore, which is the name of the retail outlet, is there.
Okay.
And so over the years, we've taken, again, construction materials, and one of the things we take on a regular basis is paint.
Okay, great.
Use paint.
Use paint. And so that's what's important for us today, is for our viewing audience to know that right now, they won't have to wait until we have our household hazardous waste to get rid of their paints that they may have. And that they can drop off any paint or any paint solvent, anything that they use for painting, they can drop those off to your office.
Absolutely.
And that office again, what's that address?
It's 3520 River Road. The office hours are basically 10 to 5 on Tuesday.
Right.
And then 9 to 5 Wednesday through Saturday.
Okay.
So our office hours, so anytime during office hours, you can come by, drop off the paint. And instead of used paint, we may be partially used paint or leftover paint.
Right.
It doesn't have to be of any kind of lead-based paint or, I'm sorry, not lead-based paint anymore, but oil paint or latex. We'll take both, and then the solvents as well, too.
Okay, good. And you know what our audience needs to know is that they can take that paint. If it can be reused, you all can reuse it.
Sure.
And then if not, they're going to drop those items off, the paint items off, when we have our household hazardous waste, and then we will properly dispose of them.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's so important for you all to make sure that you participate in this process. If you have paints from painting the bathroom or outside, exterior, inside paint, if you want it not to just be hanging around your home, you can take it to Habitat for Humanities.
Yes.
And then if they can use it, they will. And if not, they're going to hold on to it so that it can be recycled.
That's correct.
Right?
Absolutely. We have a lot of requests for, I just need a little can of paint to finish a project, or don't know what color, it doesn't matter the color, and they can come in and pick something out. But there's inevitably leftover paint, things that nobody wants, and so needs to be recycled, needs to be disposed of. And so we're offering a year-round service now where you come, drop it off at Habitat at the store there, the Restore. We'll take it, store it, and then October, when the annual recycle gathering day is available, then we'll make sure it gets to the right place.
Absolutely. I am so excited. Now, we need to have more commissioners like you that are thinking about ways what we can use to both enhance your responsibilities and to enhance what we're doing with Keep Columbus Beautiful.
Absolutely.
And I certainly do appreciate it. Thank you for volunteering your time to serve on the board. Thank you for your insight of saying, look, we want to be able to have that paint delivered to us. We may be able to use it, and when we're not able to, we're going to hold on to it so that we can get it to you for the household hazardous waste, and it can be properly disposed of. We can divert that paint from our landfill. It's so important for us to do that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gloria.
All right, we appreciate it. Now, I want to thank you all for tuning in to CCG TV, the Keep Columbus Beautiful Earth Notes, where you can find out all you need to know to be a good steward to our environment, because it starts with you. You are the eyes, the ears, the mouth, and the hands of our environment, and our environment gives us life, so it's up to you to do your part. So what will you do to keep Columbus beautiful? Thanks a lot for tuning in.
city would fix these darn potholes. Someone needs to report this.
Has this ever happened to you and you didn't know who to call? It's simple. Dial 311 or 706-653-4000. Columbus 311 Citizen Service Center. Our goal is to provide complete, accurate, and timely information to citizens and employees regarding complaints, inquiries, and requests for information. Columbus 311 Citizen Service Center, your direct link to city service.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you're watching CCG TV.
Coming up next on Columbus Connections, a mine is a terrible thing to waste, and we are not wasting any mines in Columbus. We're talking to Dr. Kathy Cook with the UNCF. Stay tuned. Welcome to Columbus Connections. I am your host, David Britt. Now, you've probably heard from the late, great Lou Rawls the phrase, a mine is a terrible thing to waste. You've heard that forever. You've heard of the United Negro College Fund, the UNCF, and you know that it raises funds for people to go to college all across the nation. Well, that's great, but if we do that in Columbus, does that affect colleges around the nation? Does it affect the colleges and the students right here? We're going to have that answer, and we're going to tell you now there's a great way to help people, help the young students in our community, and also have some fun and enjoy yourself while we're doing it. I have with me Dr. Kathy Cook, who is the campaign coordinator for the UNCF, and she's going to tell us about it. Welcome to the show.
I am so happy to be here.
How are you doing?
Fantastic. But you know, to finish that quote, that a mind is a terrible thing to waste and a wonderful thing to invest in. And so with UNCF, that's the mission, and many of us have heard about it, and you're right, we may have some fond memories of the telethons or sometimes radiothons with UNCF. But in Columbus, we've had a great group of people who for at least 20 years have been working to raise monies for our local students. And when I began to volunteer a few years ago, that was when I learned that the monies that we raise actually are earmarked for our students here.
And when we talk the money that you all raise, about how much, whether it's annual or in total, how much is raised for the students right here in Columbus?
All of the money that we raised during the Columbus campaign is earmarked for our students. And this year our goal is $200,000.
$200,000.
For the gala, which is on March 17th, 2018.
And you're talking about the Mayor's Mass Ball.
Mayor's Mass Ball. Our campaign goal for the gala is $150,000. So between different events that they have around the city, like the one that's coming up this coming Saturday, there's a fish fry. The alumni of NFL are hosting a fish fry at Creme de la Creme this Saturday from 11 to 4. And so those kinds of third-party fundraising go to contribute to the overall Columbus campaign, which is $200,000. But mostly we want to empower our students so that they have the things that they need to fill the gaps, to become educated, and be able to come back to service the needs of our community and also contribute greatly to the workforce.
Right, and that's a great idea. First with the fish fry, that is an all-you-can-eat fish fry, Creme de la Creme, who if you've never been, it's great food. And that the NFL alumni, because I've always said, people don't realize how many professional football or just professional athletes, period, come from this area. So for them to come back and do that, to give scholarships to other deserving students, that's a great way to give back and a great way for people to connect.
Absolutely.
And just see like, wow, like how many teams is the Browns, the Raiders,
49ers, and the Raiders, right. And so these gentlemen are still serving. They're still giving of their time. And, you know, everybody on this committee volunteers. And we have a really big group of steering committee members, probably about 20, and most of which were planted in place before I began to work alongside them. And so I'm always impressed by what things people are willing to do to sacrifice for others.
Right. Now again, when will the fish fry be?
That's this Saturday at Creme de la Creme from 11 to 4. And I think I do have an address. The address for Creme de la Creme is 6381 Mildren Road, Suite 5. And that's right here in Columbus, Georgia, out near the Beaver Run area. And so the owner of Creme de la Creme is using her place as and she's on our steering committee, Ramona Horton, and so she teamed up with these guys. And so that's just the kind of thing that I mean, that the people on the steering committee really go the extra mile to help raise the money so we can meet our goals for this particular campaign, this and every campaign.
Yes, and that's going to be on March 3rd, right?
Right.
Right, and so we do that. So we get some good fish, we network and we have some fun. But it's the Mayor's Mass Ball. If you've never been, tell us about it. Tell us about how
it is a wonderful event. It's black tie.
Yes.
So the people look beautiful.
Chance to get fancy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Real fancy. And so it's a masked ball. So you see a lot of masks being worn. It's an evening of celebration, so this year we have Lakeside as our entertainment.
That's the thing, y'all always have great entertainment.
Yes.
It's not just, you know, some cover band or just somebody playing the flute. You all have a long history of having some great music down there.
And absolutely, and we're really thrilled about Lakeside coming because I don't believe that they've ever been to Columbus, and we've got a really great reception from the local public when we've mentioned that, hey, that's who we're bringing here.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So it's a short program. It's student testimonials. There's some information about, you know, UNCF. There's an opportunity even to give at the event, but mostly it's regalia, will look great, and it's a lot of fun with the entertainment. The food is good. It's at the Trade Center, and so the staff at the Trade Center always does a fine job of taking care of us and providing great service, but I look forward to it every year. So I'm just excited to be leading this effort this year, and that we're here talking about it today.
Yeah. Now, I know it's a mask ball. Are the masks optional, or is it you're not getting in if you don't have a mask? I know you have to have a black tie. But do you have to have a mask?
You don't have to have a mask.
Mask on, mask off.
And that's it. It's optional.
Now, how do people contact you? If they want to get tickets for this, how do they get with you? What are the other outlets to get tickets?
outside of the steering committee who've given out invitations, if you want more information, you can contact my office, Cook Dental Care, at 706-689-2905. And you can just ask for me. My staff is already prepped, prime, and ready to take and receive information and get your name, phone number, and email address to get you the information that you need, so that if you need a ticket or if you need a table, anything you need, we can assist you with that effort.
Right. Now, you started saying a mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a great thing to invest in.
A wonderful thing to invest.
A wonderful thing to invest in. And we're talking $200,000 this year to help students achieve their dreams of going to college. Tell us about some of those success stories that people have shared at the ball.
Well, last year, Columbus Campaign helped to raise over $11 million and give 857 scholarships in the state of Georgia. So our campaign goes to, along with all the other campaigns in Georgia, to help take care of scholarships for our students. And so that's exciting to me, because many times, you know, we support people through our words. We can even help them to get into school, or maybe a recommendation or mentoring. But the thing that people need is money.
Yes.
And so UNCF has been there for a lot of people. And it's not just the 34 HBC schools, but you can get a UNCF scholarship and go anywhere in the country. And so that there are a lot of things that people don't know about UNCF that I think that just coming to this event, you're like, wow, it's not the UNCF of 30 years ago.
Yes.
It's modern, just like everything else has matured and developed, so has this campaign.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Tell us the date again for the events.
March 17th, 2018 at 7 p.m. with Lakeside as your entertainment at the Trade Center. 706-689-2905 is how you can contact me to get more information.
And that's for the Mayor's Mass Ball, and then there's going to be a great fish fry March 3rd at Creme de la Creme. Tell us the time again for that.
From 11 to 4 p.m.
And you're going to see a lot of, not only a lot of great food, but you're going to get to network with a lot of great retired NFL players from this community. So that's a great time to bring your students, bring the kids, especially if you have young athletes.
Absolutely.
And it just gives them a chance to say, like, wow, I can do this.
Absolutely.
And they're going to help me find some money to do it.
And these guys are healthy, they're still living well, and so it's good for them to see that.
Yeah. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, a wonderful thing to invest in. So let's be a great community and let's invest, because what we do stays in this community. And you're going to enjoy yourself doing it. Thank you for Dr. Kathy Cook. And thank you to the UNCF for what they do every year to make sure that our students here in Columbus, Georgia succeed and excel. Thanks for watching Columbus Connections.